Let's just start off nicely. When it comes to skincare, what are your red flags for a product where you're just like, I'm not buying this one, I'm buying this one?
And when we questioned the brand, they were like, if you ask for it, we'll give you, but we can't put it there because now people will steal. And sometimes when you don't even list like what exactly is in there, yes, it could be a vitamin C serum, but we know it's not like pure vitamin C with nothing else. I could be having another serum that if I put them together, I get a reaction or sensitivity.
And people sometimes, I notice when it comes to like a medical professional, you tend to throw all logic out the window. And it's because, okay, Maureen is a dermatologist. She told me to use sand on my face. That is fine.
I saw a lady saying that I started with this one's for Kupaka because I don't want it to affect my internal organs.
What do you mean?
And I'm like, baby girl, your skin absorbs everything you're putting on it. Guys, I'm so excited to announce that we have a sponsor for this episode. And if you're particular with your skin like me, I look for safety, I look for effectiveness, and most importantly, I look for evidence-based science. So because of that, I'm so happy to partner with La Roche-Posay for this episode, and we have something exciting coming up for you. So stick around and find out. Hi guys, welcome back to A Dose of Health, the podcast where I give you not too much, not too little, but just enough health information to make you make an informed decision. Today I'm excited. I have a returning guest and I have a new guest as well. I'll let them introduce themselves. And even just by looking at them, you can tell their backgrounds. Yeah, you can tell. I'm giving you 1 minute to just internalize. You can tell their backgrounds, but I'll give you guys the opportunity to introduce yourselves.
Okay. Hi, my name is Yvonne Kanyi. I am a content creator. I'm an esthetician and a lover of skin generally. I'm also a business owner. I have 2 babies in the business field. One is Beauty Square, where we retail skincare solutions to help empower clients to feel and look better about themselves. And then I also have Sage Skin, where we now extend that into the world of skin treatments.
Wow. Hey. It's long. Wow. And actually, it's increased from last time. You've added one more.
Yeah, Sage is now a reality.
Congratulations on that. Yeah.
Thank you. I think we were still in construction the last time.
Yeah. You were like, oh my gosh, Maliza.
I usually don't look forward to those phases.
You don't look forward to them?
They remove you from your feminine energy.
Yeah, so Karibu Maureen, time to introduce yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi, my name is Maureen Bandari. I am CEO founder, Bandari Beauty and Luna Medi Spa. We are the home of skincare, personalized skincare solutions, and our aim is to enhance people's confidence and well-being. Apart from that, I'm a content creator, I'm a mom and a wife and a general fun person, I would say.
Wait, I forgot. I mimi ni mama yetu.
I wanted to ask you, but I was just like, maybe she doesn't want to say it.
Sometimes I genuinely forget, guys. I'm just a girl.
Are you serious?
I'm just a girl.
How old is he now?
He's a year and 3 months.
Yeah, at that point you were,
it
was you, yeah. Now I can't even forget I have a whole 8-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she turned 8
she's
like
becoming a teenager
3
soon.
days ago. No, was it 3 or 1 week? 1 week.
Happy birthday to her.
Yeah, I will send it to her.
8 years
But
is a
she'll
long
just
time.
start asking, where is the cake?
My niece is at the same place. You say anything birthday? Is there a cake?
Yeah.
I'm just like,
or
oh.
a clown.
A cake.
It's either a clown, a cake, or just some.
She needs to be celebrated in short.
Yeah.
My niece was singing happy birthday, and this is how she was saying it. Happy birthday to me. I was like, damn, girl. Damn. She's like, it's my birthday so much. No, May was her birthday month. And we are happy to be in June.
Mechoka.
But it was nice. It's so nice to see them grow up.
Yeah.
Enjoy the blissfulness of childhood.
And I think even this time we did the birthday in a hotel. But the last time I was out with her, someone was celebrating a birthday. She's like, Mommy, how did they know it's
my birthday?
Someone's birthday? They're coming out singing. So I didn't want to tell her, oh yeah, you go, you tell them, you pay for the cake. And then so this time I just told her, let's go out. And then she's like, they also know it's my birthday.
Aww,
without knowing we planned. So she'll know later.
Yeah, let her live in that bliss. All right, guys. So I usually do this thing where I ask my guests, have you watched Inside Out, the movie? Or heard of it?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
No, nothing.
Yvonne, second time. You've heard of it and not watched it.
Is it on Netflix? That's the problem.
You know, actually, the previous guest, I won't say for which episode, asked the exact same thing. I highly doubt.
It's not.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it's not on Netflix, or at the
Showmax.
very least, Showmax,
Yeah.
or if we stretch,
Apple
Don't say
TV.
YouTube.
No, is it Amazon Prime?
Oh,
yeah. If it's not there, then
it's not. I'll find a way to
I'm
make
not
you guys
fighting with
watch
ads
it.
on those websites to watch free movies.
These days,
those are with
hakunanga
kids,
ads.
and then a random ad
Hakunanga.
comes.
Do you have ad blocker?
I think you have to pay more for that. Yeah.
No. Okay, mine is free.
Hey,
Which
but don't
site is
say
it
you
from?
find it's
We'll talk on
illegal.
the side. We'll talk on the side. But anyway, so Inside Out is a movie that it makes you get in touch with your feelings, your emotions, and it just enables us to understand how we act and why we act that way. And it's a movie for adults. I will say this forever, not for children. It's for adults. Yeah. So where are you guys emotionally today as we speak?
You want to go first?
Currently, emotionally, as of today, I'm everywhere because there's some results I'm expecting. So I wanted to see them before coming here so that I know whether I'm going to be relaxed or still jittery. But that's that. But also, I've started coaching with a career coach who also had a major in psychology. So every session, I'm like, wait, first of all, we're supposed to talk about my career. Am I
She's
supposed to
therapizing
be like feeling like, hey, in my feelings, thinking about my childhood and whatnot? So currently, emotionally, I think I'm in a place where for the first time, I'm actually understanding how your environment affects how you feel, how you show up. Initially, I used to just feel like, hizo ni vitu za wazungu. But now you want to connect how I laugh to how I grew up.
Childhood traumas and etc.
But later now that I'm doing it, I'm just
Yeah.
like, actually, you pick some of these things without knowing, or let's say, like for me, we discovered I do not have boundaries. Like I sometimes don't know when to say no, when to say yes, and stuff like that. So when I discovered that, I was just like right now, I'm in a phase where I am very much trying to pay attention to the things I say yes to, things I say no to. But initially, I wasn't really paying attention. I would just used to wonder, why am I exhausted? I said yes to so many things that I should not be saying yes to. And I got an assignment to say no to things. And the first thing that came, sorry, if I will not say who it was, but I was like, no.
And with confidence, you know.
And I'm alive and thriving by saying no. So right now I'm in a discovery phase, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, and I love that. Yeah. What about you, Yvonne?
I think I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay.
Also gone on that journey on boundaries and whatnot. And the other week, I actually established with my therapist when I'm scheduling things, it's 2 weeks in advance. Like if you want something with me in 2 weeks, and I was so such a victim of scheduling so many things in my day. And then I'm coming home after my son is asleep and I'm like, where was I?
Yeah.
So you realize that you sacrifice the things that are important for you in regards to like saying yes to other people and pleasing them. I feel like I'm in a pretty good space. I just started listening to a book called The Hard Thing About Hard Things. And it's giving me a lot of direction and decisiveness in terms of business. A number of things were disturbing me. So I'm sorry to everyone who I'll be mean to this week, but I need to get things in order. So I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. That's nice. You're both in the same space, which is really nice. Yeah. It's called reclaiming your time. Yeah. And it's okay for you to do that.
We're going to do more of that this year.
I think for me, I'm feeling peaceful. Yeah. This year I've been learning the act of like letting go. You can't control everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes
that can be
you
a hard one.
Yeah. You have to let things happen the way they happen. And it's fine.
Yeah.
Not everything is for you, and that's also okay. So I think I'm peaceful.
That's nice. That's really good. Because especially letting things go when it's relationship wise, not necessarily the opposite sex. It could be family, friends,
friendship.
That can be
It's hard.
tricky.
Yeah. But when it comes to like friends and just relationships in general, I think I've become like more vocal about like establishing my boundaries. That thing when I was saying, do you want to? No.
And it's not that I don't want to see you. I'm just tired.
I've been tired the past few months. I'm just like, am I chronically tired? Like, what's not happening? And I'm just no.
Or if let's say we decide, let's go have drinks for 2 hours. Honestly, the most I can do now is give an extra hour. Beyond that, don't bring new plans of, oh, my friend has called me now, let's transition to another place. Hey, it's home time.
We're just girls anyway.
Yes.
Now let's debunk some medical jargon. I call it medical jargon because I'm a doctor. You can call it skincare jargon if that's what you prefer. But is there something you want to debunk for the audience? Maybe they keep getting it wrong, or you just feel like people need to know a bit more about this particular thing. The moment is yours.
I've been thinking about it from when you first brought it up. I think maybe I'll pick acne.
Okay.
Because last week we had put out like a call for models we wanted to work with who are struggling with acne. And of all the submissions, I think only actually 2 people actually had acne.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was surprised. I was like, I assumed everyone knew what acne is. But then I realized not everyone has that understanding. So acne is when there's actually, it can be non-inflamed or inflamed, but usually they tend to, in simple layman's terms, like bumps on your skin, basically. Most of the times it'll be inflamed. Sometimes it's not inflamed. But acne is not when you have scarring, like, can call them like holes. Skin, I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That is not acne. Acne is not when it leaves a dark spot either. That's not acne. And then also acne doesn't have to be severe for it to be acne as well. I think there's also that misconception. And also there's something called fungal acne that's different from regular acne.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Take some time to
how
look
did
up
they
what that
come
looks
looking?
like physiologically.
The ones that applied.
Oh, the ones that applied?
Yeah, what did they
Most of them had acne scars
Yeah.
or dark spots, like hyperpigmentation.
Okay.
And then a few of them had fungal acne. And actually, a lot of them had congestion. There's a difference between congestion and acne. Congestion will mostly just be whiteheads,
Yeah.
which if you just use an exfoliant to get like a clarifying facial, usually it will help resolve that. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting how even up to now, like the education is sometimes you wonder when will it ever stop. Clearly it will never stop, because
Not
I
in
don't
the
know
near
if
future.
even for you ever got customers, maybe you put on a cleanser and they do not know whether that is a wash off product. Yeah,
So they just leave it on.
yeah.
Or like
And
they
now
don't
it
rinse
gets
their
a reaction.
faces.
Then later they're reaching out. You're like, okay, take me through how you do your whole routine. You're like, what? So they still shower the same way they were showering before they came to see you, and then they put the cleanser on and continue with the routine. And maybe you've even given
So
them a
actually,
salicylic
they're
one.
putting product on the cleanser.
Yeah. There's a brand video, I'm not going to mention the brand, that I saw someone do that.
Wait,
but it was
what?
pulled down very quickly.
Okay.
Oh, a creator
very
posted.
quickly. Mhm.
Yeah.
But before you post, it goes through.
To a chair.
Approval.
Okay.
To a
Okay,
chair.
you know, there's some brands that are very like free.
yeah.
They're like, we trust you. Like, just create the content and post.
Yeah, okay.
Some things need to, and I will stay dying on this hill. If it involves your health, there has to be an approval, because someone else will see that and do the same thing
replicate.
Yeah, so it has to be approved, and I'm sure it applies for like different fields, but health, please. We need to find a way to just regulate and say this can go out, this cannot go out.
Yeah.
Hopefully one day we'll get there. Okay.
True.
So you said acne. What about you?
For me, I think it's just reinforcing the time it takes for you to see changes. And one thing that clients need to know, or the audience, is we are not miracle workers. Like someone will come, I have a wedding this weekend. Oh my God, it's Wednesday. I can't take the pigmentation out. If anything, if it's severe, I can easily take like 6 months. So it's them understanding that there's a reason why it's called a journey. And as much as sometimes I usually don't like using the word, but there's a reason why even the word skincare journey came into being, because it's not a touch and go kind of situation. And for example, depending on the severity of whatever you're dealing with, you can be put even on oral meds and topical products, and you need to do that for even a year. I've seen people go even with Accutane for so long. So we're not miracle workers, but definitely we're always here to support along the way. Yeah.
Those are really, really good ones, actually. Yeah, that thing for people expecting a miracle, like it happens today. And then you go and see the product doesn't work.
Yeah, then don't go to that brand. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. I think for me, I'll just stress the importance of health literacy. And if you think you have educated the client, ask them the question. Ask them what you just said. If they don't replicate it or say something in line with that, you haven't finished the job. Yeah, so education is very important, and that's why we're here today.
Yes.
Yeah. You're listening to A Dose of Health, the podcast. And since today we're talking about skincare that actually works, let's talk about La Roche-Posay. When it comes to treating skin concerns like acne, hyperpigmentation, or even eczema, science-backed, dermatologist-trusted products are exactly what your skin expert ordered. But where you buy them, that matters too. I always go to a Good Life pharmacy or any other La Roche-Posay accredited retailer for authentic products. And just so you know, if your dermatologist recommends it, some products may even be covered by your health insurance. And if you're lucky, you might catch a cool little discount at the checkout. Real skincare starts with authentic products and informed choices. Stick around for a giveaway by our sponsors of the day, La Roche-Posay. Now back to the episode. Okay, so now getting to the episode, ni kama tulikuwa tushaanza. I've been seeing a lot. I'm a big TikTok fan, and I know it's problematic, but I've been seeing a lot of conversation around one, fake products, two, self-produced products. I don't know how to term them, but it's like, as Yvonne, you've produced your own product and you're saying it does this, and that. And then number 3 is these parallel imports as well, or just formulations that are not permitted in different market spaces. And I wanted us to have that conversation, especially because you're estheticians as well, licensed estheticians and trained, but also at the same time, you have your businesses where you sell these products. So let's just start off nicely. When it comes to skincare, what are your red flags for a product where you're just like, I'm not buying this one, I'm buying this one?
I think first of all, it's really important, and I really try to drill this down every time I talk about skincare. Don't just go to a shop and say, I want a serum. Like, what are you targeting, number one? Like, you don't just go to a car and say, I want a car. You know, if you want a pickup, a lorry, an SUV, you know the kind of car you want, depending on your needs. So I like to emphasize that whenever you're going to buy a product, first of all, make sure that the ingredients are matching with the concern you have. So, like, hey, I'd be a billionaire if I had, like, every person who buys vitamin C to fix acne or is expecting benzoyl peroxide to fade dark spots. So that's number one. If the product doesn't have the ingredients I need, then that's the first red flag. It's not for me. Honestly, that it's bad. I think secondly, ingredient lists.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes. Yeah.
So there's some brands that will put maybe the ingredient list on the box and not on the container itself, but there should be availability of an ingredient list, at least if anything on your website.
Yeah.
If anything. So those products that it's just written in a cinnamon moisturizer, but what is in here? Or sometimes there's some...
I agree.
Yeah, so many.
I agree, yeah.
There's some ointments from the pharmacy that will only list the active.
Okay.
So like it'll only say tretinoin, but I'm like, but there's emulsifiers, there are creams, and there's a preservative. What preservatives are in here? So I think for me, an ingredient list and a comprehensive ingredient list, and then the other one is a bit vain, but also for me sometimes packaging.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
It's not vain. Honestly, you can always tell.
Yeah. And I think that's why brands like invest a lot when it comes to marketing. Because, you know, someone will look at it and be like, okay. Yeah.
But also from the other element of packaging, there are certain products that should just be packaged a certain way.
Yes.
Like if it has vitamin C, it should be an opaque bottle, preferably something that has an airless pump and not a dropper. So also those can be things that can sway you on whether this product is for you or not. Yeah.
Tell us why. Like the airless pump and the packaging. Like why particular? And
let me start by saying, because someone will misconstrue what I've said. It's not that the ones that are in a dropper are bad. I'm just saying it's better if it's in an airless pump because vitamin C tends to oxidize. But then again, there's so many nuances to it. It depends on what type of vitamin C. Is it ascorbic acid or a derivative? So depending on all of that, it will guide what the packaging will look like. But preferably for ingredients like that oxidize, you want them something opaque. And that's not exposed to air as much. Because the more it's exposed to air, the more it will oxidize and then it degrades.
So the potency, it's not as effective as it would be.
And I think that's also what you look at now if you're trying to look at people who manufacture for themselves. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with doing the things in your kitchen. Everyone starts somewhere.
The turmeric scrubs.
I have a problem with it. No, like maybe you could probably have like a background in formulation, for example, but you don't have the space to do it. So your knowledge is there. So you're able to know, I'm taking 5 grams of turmeric, putting in glycerin this amount of ml. So everyone starts from somewhere. That's fine. But now when you're looking at the fake products, for me, I look at them from 2 ways. There's the first one where you're imitating something that's already existing. So it could, can we name brands?
If you want to.
Because it happens. So for example, someone sees a CeraVe cleanser and they see it's very popular and they know they can confuse somebody and create the exact same thing. But you do not know how the manufacturing was happening behind the scenes. So you'd find people who make the same thing, almost the same thing, because you don't know the formula, and then now the packaging, they match it almost to the original thing. Now those ones, you find them like even the places are suspicious where you can find them. And sometimes I try and give grace to consumers, but at the same time I'm just like because you can see even from the retail, businesses that the brand has said these are the official ones. Maybe the product retails at 4,000. So the one that is 500, like, what is the logic behind imagining that they are trying to con you with the 4K and the 500 person is the one who's doing the right thing. So there's that, which I feel sometimes is very, very dangerous. But the most dangerous for me, honestly, it's you're in your kitchen doing things. And I watched a documentary by BBC. They were focusing on West Africa, and there was this plus size like grandma of some sort
with a basin
and the ingredients are all over the place, and she's literally using her eyes.
She's eyeballing
Yes. You take with a jug, you put here, you're mixing. And then now, again, the packaging that was suspect, you're decanting into those particular packages. And someone will probably see that and still buy. Well, considering some of them are bleaching products and maybe, I'm sure we'll even get to that.
Yeah, we should definitely.
But you see that, but then you're still like, okay. And I understand sometimes finances could be a thing, but I'm of the opinion that we have like really good skincare brands that are also affordable for consumers. So that, and then for me, if something doesn't have like a batch number and like expiry dates, so when I open, I use until when, or if I find it on your shelf 3 years from now, then what? Because if it doesn't have any batch number and expiry date, how do I know it was not manufactured 5 years ago?
That's true.
So skincare is a bit tricky, but I think these are things that people can look out for.
I'd love to add on to that. Actually, I forgot to mention price. There's a time when we were just talking about TikTok and fighting people on TikTok. I did a reel. No, a TikTok.
We're not fighters.
I did a TikTok where I said if you buy your ordinary serum on Jumia for 1,000 bob, just
1,000 bob?
Yeah. Even 850.
What?
Yes.
In comparison to the actual price, which is not that.
And everyone in the comments was fighting me.
But even the original from DCM, you won't get it at that price.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like, is this person running a charity? Why would they sell products at a loss? So everyone in the comments was fighting me. So definitely that people need to use their due diligence when they're buying products. But then also...
So they were fighting you like you don't know what you're talking about.
Of course. Maybe the person got at a discount. Which they bought on sale. But so now they're selling at
remember these days people put things on sale when they've expired or when they are very close to expiry. So
but
even those things that you've mentioned, you need to look at.
It comes down to the values of the founder or the business. Because now your skincare is very sensitive for you to sell an expired product, and then now it goes and reacts to someone. Now you have a bigger problem than just getting like that 1,000
which will get to the
slip
problems
off your hands.
But that's actually a true thing. Like just compare with like the actual seller just to see if it's at least close, because if the discount is 70%, even you like just not that we're saying all of them are not legit, but have your question marks there and go and do your due diligence.
And then on expiry dates, not all products will have expiry dates, especially depending on where it was manufactured. Some countries are not big on that, like Kenya. So also the batch number should definitely be there.
The batch number.
Yes, definitely. And then I also always say it's important to buy products from a place that you trust.
Yes.
So that even when you have questions, you can come back and say, hi, I have ABCDFGH concerns. And that person can be able to answer you.
Very important. I think for me, some red flags. Number one, ingredient list for me is number one. That one I'm just like, so you've told me it has vitamin C, but you're not confident enough to put it on the
but
packaging.
They'll give you excuses like they don't want the
people
like
to steal the
to steal the formula. I've seen that when I inquired, like, when anyone wants us to stock their brand, we have steps that we go through to look at the products and everything. And when we questioned the brand, they were like, if you ask for it, we'll give you, but we can't put it there because now people will steal. But I'm like,
it's a Kenyan brand.
You told me behind the
but you're like, you're not putting it for me though. You're
for the
putting it for the
consumer.
consumer so that they're aware of what they're doing. And sometimes when you don't even list like what exactly is in there, yes, it could be a vitamin C serum, but we know it's not like pure vitamin C with nothing else. I could be having another serum that if I put them together, I get a reaction or sensitivity. So ideally I should know so that in case anything like that happens and I need to investigate my products, then I'm able to say, okay, okay, this one has this, so it can't really go and work well with your serum.
I think
That's
also in the
true.
event of an allergy, obviously you go to a derma, they'll be like, okay, what did you use?
Exactly.
And to be able to find
and you
out.
can't even say it's just some random
Vitamin C
vitamin C cream.
That's true. Another one for me is also just credibility, like especially for brands that claim to be dermatologically backed. Like for me, can we see some papers? Like, was there a study on it? Is there some research behind it?
Yeah.
So like for me personally, I really like, I like La Roche because they're very open and they have papers.
Yeah.
Where they say this product, like now their new, the Melasil product, it has been tested. They were doing the research for 18 years.
Yeah,
You see, and
that
they're
was such a
open to
long
tell us
time,
that.
actually, yeah.
So I think it's because I'm a doctor, but I really like that because there's evidence to back your claims, what you're saying.
Yeah.
And even on top of that, when you have clinical studies, then you're able to know, even if something like an adverse event happened to 3 people, it's something that is at the back of your mind. So when it happens to a consumer, you're not like, hey, this one has never happened
Before.
How did you use it? But now when you have such data, you know,
Yes.
okay, this could happen to a very few percentile of people. So you just happen to be one of them. So you know how to maneuver through
That's
that
true.
as well.
But I
That's
agree on that, to investigate that claim, because and also that claim on its own is I don't think is a merit. It
Yeah.
has to be in the context of the ingredient list, the product efficacy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what goes behind you being able to claim dermatologically tested, but there's some brands that have that, but the product
And
is
they're
shit.
not exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or you find they tested on 15 people
That's true.
of a
That's true.
specific race, and then you bring it to a different race.
That's why these days now I'm going to look for papers because we need the evidence because you can't be out here telling me just go and tell the people it's backed by damas. But when they come to ask, okay, fine, can we get any evidence? I don't have evidence. So now I'm very particular, by the way. I need to see.
Especially for you doctors, I know people probably ask you for the evidence.
Yeah, for the evidence. And because we're here saying we only work with evidence-based science. And then you have to come and tell us, we said lakini hatuna,
We're not sure.
Yeah. So when it comes to fake products, how they say self-made products, I don't know what to term them as. What are some of the reactions that you've seen that people get when they use some of these products that you can't really tell, okay, fine, what was in it? And how do you manage certain situations like that?
Well, even before I go into that, this podcast of yours better not put us in trouble. There's a day, like when they do it in the, sometimes it could even not be the formulation. It could be how you're handling the brand. There's a day I was watching a reality show on Showmax, and one of the cast member has a skincare line, local. So I'm just watching, enjoying, and then she goes into her kitchen and the products are there. She's like in the last phase of like assembling and doing whatever. Long nails, wig,
Hygiene.
pajama, she starts assembling.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then someone came to the kitchen and they're like, oh, help me.
Yeah.
They started doing it. I rewinded that thing like 3 times.
No gloves,
Nothing.
Wow.
And you're in a setup where people have come from all over. You don't know where someone... I mean, if it's in the morning, the first thing I do is wake up, go to the washroom. And I'm not saying they didn't wash their hands, but you just don't know what happened.
Yeah.
So you find even a nice formula, perhaps, there are things that were introduced towards the end of that formulation. And I will take it and use and wonder, why is this thing that I used the last time before it ended working and now it's not? But you can't...
They can't maintain quality.
Yeah, now the quality comes into play. You're like, I remember watching that 3 times. I'm like, I'm not believing this thing, first of all, was approved everywhere. Nobody was seeing a problem. But then again, maybe it's because of the industry. But I was really, really baffled. And for me, the kind of side effects we get to see in the store is just non-ending reactions. Like you can tell already this is a reaction. And when you try and investigate, okay, what is this all about? You just find some funny ingredients in there, including even steroids. And they're just okay. And when you go and have conversations with these founders for such brands, they'll tell you, oh, I went to Ghana and kind of like, had like a quick conversation and training by someone else who is doing the same in Ghana, for example, but not like a school for like 6 months even and get a certificate of the same. You just saw someone, this thing is working in another country, so you travel there, they teach you, you come, you start doing it. I'm just like, but do you understand the ingredient list though? So that you're not, putting out a brand that people will take up, because first of all, it's affordable, and probably some people can actually work on their packaging. So it looks like, this is something even me as a modern day woman, I would prefer to put it in my, in my bathroom and I'm shooting my vlog and people can see, But then at the end of the day, what goes back to what she was talking about, formulation. How is the formulation looking like?
She's definitely raised an important point on quality control. So, okay, fine, you've mixed the ingredients in your kitchen, and let's assume you want gloves and a hairnet and all the right things, and you've mixed with a sanitary equipment. But are you testing each batch to check if the quality is matching up with the last one? That for me is the other issue, is ensuring that they're actually doing quality control testing with every single batch. And even as we're really particular about what products we carry at British Square, I think we only have one local brand. It's because like I spoke with the owner. I know she's a chemist and she does her quality control testing and all of that. There's also the issue of contact dermatitis from using these creams. A lot of them could have steroids, and what people will tend to notice, you use it and then your acne disappears literally overnight.
You stop.
The dark spots quickly, you're like, wow, this is magic. And then what will tend to happen over time is you can easily develop contact dermatitis, or now dealing with this monster that is topical steroid withdrawal. And because you lose it for like a month, things will go well, and then things will start to go left. And especially if they have high strengths.
Like when you're now realizing what is happening, that's also when the consumer realizes what has been happening. All this time they have no idea whether they're using steroids.
Yes. And also not everyone knows steroids are a bad thing. So I've actually had a client.
We're not used well.
We're not used
or prolonged
correctly. Yes, exactly. I have a client who, when I first did her consult in 2022, she'd been using Close-On B for more than 10 years.
For more than 10 years?
Yes. Wow. So you buy this cream from the pharmacy, you look really good. You're like, this is the one for me. And you've actually stranded, Bob. Perfect. But people don't realize that steroids should not be used for that long. So there's that issue. And then also now people will start to experience maybe lightening, for example. It can cause acne, depending on what's
thinning of the skin.
Exactly.
You can see the veins, especially if you're like light skin. And then some even now start getting stretch marks. Now you want me to work on the stretch marks, but the root cause, we need to start there as well, and zero to non-existent skin barrier at all. So someone comes immediately, they want solutions, but you're like, first of all, we need like 2 months of just skin barrier repair before we can even think about how to go about helping you. So
I'm afraid of those products that have mercury in them also, because now that just is a whole other field.
It is many to eat.
They are now abolished in Kenya.
I have so many things that are abolished here that are still
Let's be
corruption technically is illegal.
And however, if you can have a product that doesn't have an ingredient list, and KEBS itself should actually ensure that all the products that have been approved have ingredient lists. Because at the end of the day, if you're coming to complain, I need to know why I'm complaining. I see it reacted with me, but why? I don't know what's in it. You see?
And like for us in-house, we have a personal brand, Bandari Beauty Skin, and because we didn't manufacture it here, we manufactured it in China. I knew for a fact I cannot preach water and drink wine. So I knew I had to go through the process of certification and making sure that this is quality products for consumers to use. And that process was tedious. But I was just like, you know what? I would rather the tediousness than just someone imagining just because it's from China, the quality is a certain way. And when you look, and that's the first time I was really, really, engaged with KEBS, and you realize the systems are there. Because the whole journey was quite long and comprehensive, where they give you a list of, let's say if you manufacture in China, there's a list of laboratories in China approved by the Kenyan government that need to come, take samples, go test against non-allergens and all of those things, and then write a report and a certification, which then now you start using to clear the products and, all the way out. And you look at the process, and I ask them, if I'm manufacturing here, how does the process look like? It's very comprehensive.
Yeah.
But then I don't know where things just disappear into thin air, and you have so many of them with no certification, or they did get the you know,
Yeah.
but then when you look at it, you're like, hey, I don't know.
Yeah.
So wait, because now when you have products from like different places, we know there's parallel imports because different regulatory playing fields. And I'm sure you guys heard about Effaclar, the La Roche product
Yeah.
that was recalled in the US.
Yeah.
So 2 questions. One, what's the process you go through before choosing a brand that you can host at your shop? And also, what would you tell now the people who are watching about the different regulations in different market spaces that allow you to sell the products that you sell? Yeah.
I'd say one, okay, in terms of criteria of what to sell, big on looking at what does it help with, right?
Yeah.
So we have our core concerns that we deal with every day, like acne, hyperpigmentation, aging. So making sure the products we're bringing address those concerns and are effective with the concerns. Because an ingredient list is one thing and efficacy is another.
Is another.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because on paper, your product should be perfect for acne, but when it comes to customer experience,
Yeah.
it's very different.
Okay.
And then now, in terms of different regulations in different areas, so I'll give an example of like Australia, for example. They are so keen on sun protection, like because obviously there it's catching hot.
Yeah.
So their sun protection regulations are really, really high. So any brands that sell sunscreen there have a really high standard to uphold to. So because of those different things, there'll be different nuances in different areas. So for us, what we stock obviously depends on accessibility, but then also now what our consumers need. So like when you come to us, for example, to ask for a sunscreen, we will always ask, what is your sun exposure level like? Are you someone who's indoors, so we have more incidental sun exposure, or are you someone who you're an engineer, you're in the field all the time?
day, yeah.
And that will affect which sunscreen we give you, because based on regulatory laws in different areas, some sunscreens are just trusted to be stronger.
Yeah.
We all remember that Purito
Yeah.
scandal.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, that was a big one.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think it was a brand's fault. I think it's
Yeah.
like the partners they worked with just let them down.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. That's a good one. What about for you?
Well, for me, it's more or less the same,
Yeah.
honestly, because when you look at the issues we deal with, even in Africa in general,
Yeah.
it's so different from what Americans can look at and feel like, okay, this is our core issues when it comes to the consumers. And just like how it's just acne, hyperpigmentation, and the over 40s, I love them nowadays. They're like, oh my God, it's like they wake up and they're like, what is this? What are the laugh lines doing here? And then now we end up now doing a lot of anti-aging or like the aftermath of acne treatment, now the dryness and all of those things.
Yeah.
So we have to match, does this brand have exactly what we need? And that goes all the way to local. Sometimes someone can have like a nice formulation with eucalyptus. I'm like, yeah, that's good for you, but it's not addressing the challenges.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't want to stock, but it's not addressing the challenges. And for sure, I've come to pay more attention to sometimes even the Asian market or even Europe.
Yeah.
Because the problem with also like the FDA, like you look at the ingredient list that have been axed out elsewhere.
Yeah.
They are present here. And you're just like,
So you don't care about us?
yeah, so you don't care. You don't care about us. Because when you look
Yeah.
at Austria, as she has said, and even Japan, it is just cutting across board in terms of there's so many levels a brand has to go through. You have to show the clinical studies, you have to show the formulation, because again, you can have the products, but what is the formulation looking like? Just because you have the ingredient niacinamide, how is it supposed to sit in a formula, for example? And is it, sitting the way it's supposed to be? So for me, I do look at that, and especially for local, because I really want to, like I have a section for Kenyan made brands, but I'm even more strict on them, because then you're just here, and if anything happens, it can happen in a way that maybe we don't have even clinical studies for us to fall back on and say, okay, in the 100 people that were tested, 10 of them experienced this, so you could be one of the 10. But now with the other people, then you find they send you with the catalog plus, the clinical studies. So you're able to go through them by yourself and figure out, okay, which one can make more sense for my brand. Yeah.
I like that because, that time, like when now that La Roche product was recalled, like I was just like, we really need to understand the differences in our markets because, and also if we have imported goods, where is the mother home? Like for us, La Roche here is Paris and not the US.
Yeah.
So the US product, they even look so different.
Yeah, even
They
from a
look so
packaging
different. Yeah.
angle.
Yeah, even the actives in it are completely
Yeah, the actives in
Yeah.
it are completely different. So I just wanted us to clearly bring out that message that it's good to understand the geographic location with which you're getting your products, and also what are the actives and the formulations that are allowed in that area versus here. So if you choose to buy a product from that area, you know that it has this product and possibly these are some of the side effects or the benefits that it can give you.
Yeah, and I think consumers sometimes don't know that because they can buy, or maybe us who stock some of these products, we can buy from different markets, but it's the same thing. And then when the customer finds them in their routine, they're like, but it wasn't looking like this. So I think it's important also for them to understand what is a fake product trying to mirror the original and what is just apparel import, which means ideally is the right product. Maybe even the channels to bring them here could be the ones that are a bit different. But I think what I can also encourage most businesses, the more these brands set up in Kenya, then the better it is to work with them directly. Yeah, because then escalating things like adverse events becomes easier and straightforward compared to, I have something from Scandinavia. I mean, at what point will I go and find them and tell them?
Exactly. And that's why I choose
We
the
have
two
a
of
Kenyan
you.
here who is going through the most. They're like, first of all, it was not meant for that market. And, you know, the discussion ends there. Because who told you?
Exactly.
I just remembered I used to bring a brand and they sent me a cease and desist from stocking their brand. Yeah.
Okay.
I see it nowadays, but I'm just like, hey, I can't touch it.
You were a trailblazer back in the day.
But it has really nice stuff.
Yeah.
I think I can even mention it. Will they find this podcast? Glossier. I used to love their
Glossier.
sunscreen. I used to buy a lot. Then they sent me, they're like, we have not formulated it for that market.
Exactly.
Now, at that point, I was just like, I'm lucky we will sell others.
Just because we're in Africa.
Yeah, just because we're in Africa. But now, later, when you sit
understand.
down and you look at the circumstances, it can make sense because then they don't want things happening in a market that they did not prepare for. And now it makes sense from a professional perspective. But at that time, at that time, hey, what do you mean? We love it here. But they are protected. Because, you know, when your brand grows, you're also very much suable.
Hey, yeah. Kwanza, now people's hands are getting like this. They're like, I didn't like sue. Sue.
Nowadays, actually, it's even the lawyers.
That's TikTok on the whole
It's actually the lawyers who will approach the person. They're like, we can sue.
Yeah,
you
that's
don't
why
have
people
to
need to be
pay
very
me,
careful.
So,
And actually now moving back to, maybe this is different. It's more of cosmetics. But we are not naming brands here. But remember the lip gloss scandal?
Yeah.
So what was your take on that?
I was like, sit down, girl. Like, first of all, okay, one, I think people need to understand that this is an open market, right? No one on this planet has come up with an original idea. Everyone drew inspiration from somewhere, from somewhere. Even the person who invented a piano drew inspiration from somewhere else. So for another person to start a business that's selling similar products, I don't think it was really meant in offense. But then also, secondly, the idea is not unique. There were so many brands. So then go and say Linton's also stole your idea because they sell
Wait, I missed which scandal is
one?
this we are talking
the
about?
lip products. Which one are you talking about?
Which one is this? Just tell me. Which one is
So
this?
there's a TikTok scandal of Murugi when she started Lip Tribe.
I don't think it's that one.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking
The
about
lip oil
the
ones.
reaction.
Oh, the lip oil.
That one,
I think business is business.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
different. Yeah.
The lip oil.
Yeah.
That
I
was
think
a big one.
there's varying nuances to this discussion.
Yeah.
I think one, darkening from using a product can also be a reaction. So it can have nothing to do with product integrity or quality or whatever, because we've also had like one or like a few cases of someone having a similar experience from a completely different brand, an international brand. So I think there's that. But I think also like one of the founders addressed the issue on that
and
platform.
she did it so well.
Yes, she did. And it's in such cases it's good to issue feedback so that people can go back to know their manufacturers and be like, okay, this is happening a lot. What is going on? Was there an issue with this batch? And that's why even though the batch numbers are important, because they can go back and check the formula and see, okay, kulienda. So there can be that issue. But then also sometimes it can happen with products that maybe it has a lot of like allergens, a lot of irritants, which can now result in all that darkening of the lips. But I'll just say, if someone, if you spot that is happening to you, go back to the person, first of all, that you bought it from, and raise the issue. I think the way they respond will also give you a lot of feedback on the quality of the product and a lot of those other things. Yeah.
And for me, I think it's even less of quality of the product and more of color cosmetics and how it looks like. Because those cases have actually existed even with lipsticks. Like when the matte lipstick became a thing, those issues were there. It's just that when you look at the US market, for example, it has so many brands.
Yeah.
The number of population that can use the brand are so many.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know how they handle their things per se, but even when you watch TikToks and YouTubes, you'll find someone, they go like, this is not working for me. They just pick the next one. So I feel like their culture is more of, this is not working for me,
Next.
to the side, next.
Yeah.
And then us, we're like, but we love this, so just tell us what this is happening. And the other day, actually, was it even the other day or yesterday? Right now, the brand that is on the receiving end is Dior. Because they have lip oils, and people are coming out with,
Reactions.
and but more or less the same patterns. And during that challenge, I remember going to the Sephora website and the lip oil section. It is literally across board to a point where you realize it's not necessarily even a quality issue. It is a type of product issue. Now, then the biggest challenge becomes, how do we educate the masses to know that this can easily happen to you? And for me, again, I always throw it back to the consumer a little bit as well, because maybe it's just me, but the day I wake up and I have a burn, I will not finish that tube. So you find most of them, even the impact was a bit more severe because it happened and then they continued.
Yeah.
And this cuts across even skincare. You use it, you get a reaction. Don't wait to finish the product. And then now by that time, we're talking about cysts, we're talking about pain. The moment you see something that is different beyond what you thought you were going to get, then that's the immediate time to either stop and reach out to the brand. But that was a very interesting even marketing and brand thing to watch and see how consumers, first of all, respond to things, how brands respond to things, and what is professional and what is not. And when we are young founders, it puts us in a very weird situation because we don't have experience. It's not like you have this top CEO for a certain brand, and by the time they got that job, they were directors, they were CEOs for other businesses. So they're coming with a bunch of experience, and now they're able to make decisions and say, okay, in this company, this is how we solve XYZ. So let me bring that expertise and solve it here. Now you're faced with challenges which you kind of have to learn on the job, and sometimes it's really sad to see it unfold.
I think also because we're in the era of social media, it's usually our first channel to outlet and say things. Things might we don't have the perspective, the actual perspective in terms of the scale. What are the numbers in comparison to the number of users? So something might feel more amplified than maybe it actually is. So I'd be so curious to maybe even see figures on the number of people who got a reaction as opposed to how many people actually used it.
Actually, I can tell you because I know she was a friend of mine. The thing people don't realize is it's not like she didn't want to address it. It's because when it happens, they have channels already. So it happens to a customer, they come to the customer experience desk, they actually get sorted. They work with my dermatologist who used to give free, consultation, guide them on how to maneuver through that issue. Some used to get even different products or different freebies, and they get monitored over time. So when you are a founder on this side, and I think she even mentioned they had sold 5,000 of them or something of the sort. And out of the 5,000, she had 60 something cases. So to her, okay, we are solving it as we go. And she's not like a social media person who will come on TikTok and see what is happening. So by the time we are actually telling her, there's something happening, to her, she was actually already addressing it with the consumers who are coming. Now, again, I always even encourage my own clients. We are dealing with chemicals for lack of a better word.
yeah.
Anything that happens, we are here. There's a reason why we have personal brands also. We are reachable. You can see us. We are walking down the streets. You can stop me actually and say, I'm using ABCD and it's not working in a certain way.
Yeah.
So it's also more of encouraging the consumer when something happens. There's so many channels in which you can reach out to the brand. I would rather when a brand is now, you're reaching out to the brand and the brand does not want to do anything about it, then it makes sense to look for other avenues to address that. Yeah.
I totally
Those
agree.
numbers definitely give it a lot of perspective now.
Yeah.
Because when you see
Yeah.
percentage-wise,
Yeah.
You know, now someone who doesn't use the brand or was now encountering with that challenge will imagine almost everyone who was buying the brand was having an impact.
Actually, it's less than 20%.
Yeah. And it's
Well,
true
without
because-
even taking it away from their experience.
That's true. Not
Yeah,
taking
but
it away.
yeah.
But even like for us in like the medical field, in pharma, like by the time something is considered a side effect, like you have a pool of people you've tested.
Yeah.
So it's percentages you're comparing.
Yeah.
So I know someone can feel like your claim is being ignored. But in hindsight, we're looking at the numbers so that we make a data-driven decision.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
understand probability.
Yes, and
also.
understand probability. Yeah. But I think that's good. So we need to know how to address like what channels to go through.
Yeah, and even for us founders, I think it just becomes like a learning experience.
Yeah.
If something was to happen with my brand, as Yvonne said, I have 2 babies. You know, they never cease to be your babies. So
Yeah.
you want the first response is almost emotional sometimes because this is something you have built from scratch
Yeah.
with no government interference, with no expert interference.
Yeah.
It's you literally lacking sleep, trying to figure things out. So when things are said, sometimes, you can't figure out, okay, what am I supposed to do from here? And sometimes you might make a decision that maybe it doesn't sit well with other people. It doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong or you're wrong. It just means also sometimes we need to practice grace, I would say, so that you also allow the founders to figure out and come back to it.
And I think I like that because for one of the founders who their brand had this scandal, was part of this scandal, I actually just reached out and asked if they've considered going the KEBS route, just because there's some credibility to that. You know, like when people come to complain, they're like, my products actually have been tested and approved by the legal body. So is that something that you would encourage young founders to do?
Yeah, for sure, because any certification that you have kind of stamps like it is legit, it's original. But then also with or without a stamp, it doesn't take away from the fact that I can use something and it reacts on me,
That's
and
true.
everyone can use the same thing and it works perfectly.
That's
So
true.
it's a mix of getting the certification, but also educating the masses in regards to possible side effects that you can get.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, always yapping about be as compliant as you can be.
Yes,
because it just
compliance
means
is
less
important.
headache down the road. Yeah.
Okay. Now, because so we have 2 more, let me say, main topics that I'd like us to address. The first one is there is now the synergy between dermatologists, estheticians, and even the brands that you're stocking. And now for the dermas, insurance covers a lot of the products that they recommend for. Not a lot, but it covers some of the skincare products that they recommend. Do you see this happening in the future where estheticians are also under insurance cover? Because I think your field is growing even more and more people are interacting with you first, even before they go to a dermatologist. And you're equipped. I think the more I get to speak with you people, I can see you're actually learning the science behind it. So would you say in the next few years, we're going to see insurances coming and be like, hi, Yvonne? No.
I feel like our industry has a long way to go, and even globally in terms of standard, right? Like, for example, like I know for sure a gynecologist in Kenya, in Ghana, in America, in the UK, in Australia, there's a certain set of number of things they have learned, like standardly. They know what the uterus looks like. They have protocols of how to treat different concerns. But unfortunately, because aesthetics is not really as much of a regulated field, in some areas it's still considered like a technical school or like a vocality, basically. So you'll find that if you go to a school here and maybe a school in the UK, both can be good, but they're not covering the same standard of things. So it'll be very hard to then certify that, okay, this esthetician, like insurance can say, okay, we can cover all estheticians because, you know, we are confident in everyone's level of, you know, quality and whatnot. So I think until the field is standardized, and not even just in Kenya, but like globally, I think we still have a really long way to go. Because like the school that I went to, when I think back on like the curriculum and how far behind it was and how much information I had to fill in for myself versus classmates I had who didn't really have any context outside of school and the information they didn't know, I'm just like, I would not be confident with that person. So I think we need to standardize what we learn first, and then maybe we can have that discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone asked me the other day, even before you might have something to add. Is there a school, an esthetician school in Kenya that is actually licensed, or like a credible place to go?
Yes.
Yeah.
BTI.
Yeah, they're there.
BTI?
Yeah.
I think even Alison and Caroline. And then there's Winnie something.
By Winnie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
by
By
Winnie. Yeah.
Winnie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're there, but as she said, I think our industry, and sometimes I go back to policies in any government, because when you look at any policy that was put across spas in general, you might find the ones who put them down retired and in their farms somewhere relaxing, and those policies have never changed. And I remember the first time I wanted now to figure out how do I even license a medical spa. At that point, I wasn't really sure whether I was going to do a medical spa or just a spa. I was very shocked to find even spas are actually under the Ministry of Tourism.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, what am I doing in the ministry? Like, okay, I get it. During those days, spas were in hotels. Hotels are in the Ministry of Tourism, but times have changed.
Yeah.
That is like 15 years ago. So then who is in between here making those particular changes? And when you look at even Poison's Board itself, there are some things and ingredients that they list and say, okay, these are medical, these are cosmetics.
Yeah.
That list has never been updated for years. And right now, you can wake up and there's a new ingredient on TikTok you're being told about. Then where does it go?
Yeah.
Like, how do you now decide it's going here and it's going there?
Yeah.
And I remember for me, when now I started hiring more people, the brands that I used to work with used to refer to them beauty advisors. And I used to have a problem with that, because we are not just advising. Like, the amount of things that we do is literally consultation, and no disrespect to any doctor, but it's almost the way they can conduct their business is the way we're conducting on our own level on this other end. So it's less of I'm advising you, it's more of I'm finding out your history, what have you been using, now this is the challenge that we have, so this is how we need to move. And I sat down and I was just coming up with what this people should be called. I used to throw around titles and they'd be like, we don't feel that one. And by the time we were settling on skincare consultants, even the word itself needs to have weight. So I couldn't just go with, okay, you have studied in the school of YouTube, now you're good to go. Actually had to go now to the schools like BTI. They come and do the cosmetic science with my skincare consultants. But then there is no license for such people. And you find estheticians also, whatever you went to study, the license you got there, that's ideally what you might end up using. But in the industry, it is growing by the day. And you wonder then at what point do we have even policies having this as a pillar on its own, and then now guiding and saying, okay, if you just have a general spa, this is the kind of license you have. If you're dealing with skincare, even in a retail space, and you're a skincare consultant, you can study something for 6 months, and this is the license that you will have. If you now want to go into medical and even have like invasive procedures, what kind of certification do you need? What kind of talent do you need in your spa so that you can get a certain license to go with that? And we can be easily, like different without, because right now, honestly, it's almost impossible to solve clients' issues with just cosmetics. Most times it will topple over to the pharmacy part of things, and then you complement with the cosmetics. So for me, I'm also even looking at it from a policy angle, because we really need to get in. I know before I even studied all of these things, there used to be like a body for estheticians, but I don't know.
In Kenya?
Yeah, they formed it and then I never had
heard of it again.
But I think maybe it's time we revive stuff like that.
But I actually have a question. Is there like an international body that governs like medical practitioners, for example, that makes sure maybe the standard of learning in Kenya is the same as in the US or in Australia or the UK?
I don't think there's one. I think there are a number, and mostly based on region. But generally, like, the thing about medicine is we have international clinical guidelines. So it's not necessarily the study, it's the practice.
Yeah. Because now, like, I'm trying to recall, like, when I was in aesthetic school in the US, like, the requirements I had to become licensed in now Pennsylvania, where I studied, and California was so different. Like, the number of hours I had to do here versus here. I remember learning, like, the requirements for California, you had to put in more practical hours than a police officer does.
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
that's crazy. Yeah, so you see, that was very, like, making sure you really know your stuff before you become licensed. Versus on this other side, it's different. And now in a place like Texas, estheticians were allowed to do things like microneedling and invasive, like really deep, like going into the dummies technically. And it's okay. So like we need to have like a baseline for
Standardization.
everyone.
I think now where the international exams come into play sometimes, like the ITEX or the CDESCOs, it's kind of like to try and standardize, but still...
But assess.
More like, okay, at least be on the same base. But for sure, I think we need to standardize that.
Actually, I don't
even
think
as a country.
Because if you're going to the US, like you've done your medicine here and you're going to the US, there's an exam you have to do.
The pre-med things.
We call them the USMLEs. So you have to do 2 sets of exams. If you're going to the UK, you have to do PLAB. If you're going to Australia, there's another exam. So I think it's just basically assessing if you actually qualify and to see like where to place you. Because even our systems are kind of different.
But at least there's a basic understanding of what every
at
doctor should
least,
know.
And we are grateful for that because it could have been tough. We are grateful for that.
But I think maybe the advantage that medicine has had, it's an age, it's a really old field as opposed to the beauty industry. I feel like it's growing faster than it can keep up with.
And I think it's growing, but it's also intertwining with like things that have already existed in the past. So it's how do we make them work together?
And I can tell you for free, when I was making the decision to have like a merge between dermatology and cosmetics, for me, my background is in pharmaceuticals. So
really?
Yeah, I used to work in big pharma for a long time. Yeah. Okay. So while working, the pillars were very specific. Like you can do this thing up to this level. Then from that point is a medical doctor who will handle XYZ. So when I came into the business side of things, I knew you have to have, even if I know skincare up to what level, what does, in fact, when I started obviously School of YouTube and watching Damas left, right, center before now you start now taking the courses, I knew for a fact there are some severe cases which are beyond me. Even if I might know ideally what will be done, but I wouldn't want to do it. Because again, part of creating like a sustainable business is making sure it outlives you.
That's true.
And I am not trying to be this Nairobi with someone saying, oh, you are a quack, you are a what and what. And immediately I knew, especially things like hormonal acne, even if I give you topicals, you'll just be having like nice acne-free days and then back to relapse and whatnot. So immediately I knew I needed to reach out to dermatologists. Let me tell you, the first few dermas, they're like, me, come and practice from a cosmetic what? Because now for them also, you know, sometimes also the professionals can be clinical. And then us, we are on this side, we are aesthetics. But we know the consumer wants a merge of the two. The consumer wants a merge of the two. Now trying to make a derma understand that yes, you will still be practicing from your clinic, but as you said, there are people who actually approach skincare consultants first, estheticians first, before you actually think of yourself as a patient. And to them, I'm a patient going to a hospital when now I just can't even walk outside the house. But sometimes it doesn't have to be like that, you know. So I was just approached like 2, 3. I was just like, hey, I'm going to harakisha syllabus because I could see the need. And then, you know, now if you're a doctor in a clinic, everyone who comes to you actually deserves to be there for you to see them. But me, everyone who comes to me,
I mean, you should have seen,
you should have seen the doctor like last year. Why are you coming to a beauty store? And when now we were cultivating that model where a derma can practice from a beauty store, I think the first month really shocked us in regards to how many customers were coming to the store. But it also now goes back to values of either the founder or the business. Because I knew for a fact, if they need a pharmacy product, I'm not gonna sell.
I was just going to go to that.
I'm not gonna
actually.
sell.
Yeah.
Just to, oh yeah.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
have to
Selling
put
pharmaceutical
boundaries and say, okay, you're coming with your severe issue.
Yeah.
I can't see you as an esthetician. This is something a derma is supposed to see. And even if the derma is seeing you, she's probably doing a mix of cosmetics and pharma product.
Yeah.
But even those pharma products, you're not getting them from my
here,
store.
yeah.
So we ended up now, let's say, partnering up with pharmacies where
Oh.
where the customer now can go to the pharmacy,
Okay.
buy the product, come back to the store, then we demonstrate how you get to use. Because also we noticed there was a challenge with now the clinical part of it, where you go get tretinoin from the pharmacy, you apply everywhere.
Everywhere.
Every
Every
day.
day.
And 2 weeks down the line, you're like, oh, you guys are spoiling my skin. Okay, show me how you use.
Yeah.
Like, that is no pea size. So
Yeah.
the challenges have always been there, but I think it's also like how ethical is your practice and do you know where to draw the lines? Because they have to coexist. At the current modern woman or man who is looking for solutions, the two have to coexist.
Okay, you
Let me
answered
just
one
add
question
something that I
actually.
think last time I really hammered in, but I just want to
keep
say it
hammering.
again. People know, like, my tagline is do your research. Like,
Yes.
always
Yeah.
do your research.
Yes.
And people sometimes, I notice when it comes to like a medical professional, you tend to throw all logic out the window. And it's because, okay, Maureen is a dermatologist. She told me to use sand on my face. That is fine.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I feel like there are two schools of dermas, not to bash anyone for sure, but there's this new school that is aware of skincare and customer trends and even product knowledge.
Yeah.
And there's another school that is more clinical.
Yes.
Like they'll give you benzoyl and adapalene and antibiotics and Accutane, but they won't really inform you on how to take care of your skin.
Yeah.
And okay, once the acne clears, there's still the element of how do you then maintain your skin? And even as you're on treatment, you have to maintain your skin. So mine is just to say, even if you go and see a derma, just make sure you go back and just double check everything they've told you to make sure, okay, this checks out, or actually, the internet is saying opposite things, and not just anywhere on the internet. It has to be like actually sites that make sense to make sure that what you're being advised is correct. Don't just assume it's correct because it's a derma.
Exactly, yeah. And if you aren't told how to use it, ask.
Yeah.
Like just, in fact, I tell patients all the time, please have no shame. There's no stupid question.
I'm the worst patient you can ever have. I will ask you even things I thought about in 2000, but I've never had the opportunity
So it started in 2001.
I will give you the
remember
history.
just like, oh my
when
God.
you're like, how did we get here? Hold my beer.
I was born.
I was born. But by the time I leave, I'm actually like okay to move. And sorry, we are digressing, but I started the gym recently. And when you go, they do like a whole, they analyze you, they ask you a few questions. And my coach was telling me, I'm the only person she has ever done that for. So we did almost for 2 hours.
Wow.
Because I need to tell you everything from how I got pregnant. This was not my weight. And we are talking 8 years ago to how now it ended up giving me back issues. Now I'm not sleeping. Oh, I've just remembered I actually snack 4 times a day. But now, now I'm actually progressing well because she knows everything. And I can easily be lifting and she's like, oh, you have back issues. Let's change the position this way. So ask as many questions as you can and give as much information as well.
I noticed we can go on for days. So just to cut it short, unfortunately, but you see, because Yvonne has come back, this means there's room for more. So now let me just ask one question. Apart from Beauty Square, apart from Bandari Beauty, where else would you advise people to buy credible skincare products from? You don't have to name a brand, just like
location.
a place.
Location. I'd say one, obviously there's the pharmacies like Good Life, My Dawa. So
Pharma Plus.
Pharma Plus. Most of these pharmacies, because now those are like, it's a big company, so they have processes and they vet the products that they stock. I think that's the one that's coming to my mind right now.
The same, but also even just to reiterate why sometimes certain channels are better is what he had talked about at some point, where if something happens, you can actually go back and something can be done about it. Because I just remembered one time a friend of mine was going to buy something CBD, and the person, I think they had just received their goods, so they were just removing everything from the carton, and the salesperson, without knowing, was like, because there was like a lot of retinols in there, so like, hey, I hope the customers coming today know what retinol is, because what, you should not ask me questions. So she was just like, she called me, is she supposed to know what retinols do? I'm like, of course. And she didn't buy. So to some extent, and that's why I love how most businesses nowadays can create content and show you what they do.
Yeah.
Based on that, just do your own research. I'm not saying come to Bandari Beauty or go to Beauty Square or go to Pharma Plus or whatever.
Yeah.
The fact that all these channels are out in the open, just take your time, see what they are doing, see their befores and after, see what professionals they have, see are they professionals themselves. And you don't have to be a professional as a founder. You can just be someone who knows how to build businesses.
But you've hired the professionals.
Exactly. So make your own choice so that it's not also like, oh, Yvonne's told me to go to Pharma Plus.
Yeah.
Now I have gone and something has happened. Now she's in your DMs like, you told me. No, just do your own research and figure out which brand do you feel like you gravitate more towards.
And be comfortable saying itarudi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are my favorite customers.
Yeah.
By the way. I tell you everything, you say, let me go think about it. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Because that means when you come back to buy, you already know maybe possible side effects, maybe how to use, other people's experiences.
Yeah.
So you tend to be a better consumer than someone who just takes people's word for it. So do your research.
I love it. Yeah, for me, I'd also say pharmacies. And I know as I'm a dig, that's the correct answer to say. But I strongly say pharmacies, one. Of course, you guys have done your research. You've done the school, so you're definitely credible sources. But pharmacies, because they can stock both. So even prescription. And that tretinoin, which I must mention, there is over-the-counter and then there's prescription. And people need to understand that. And I think I'll just try and see if I can do a bit more content on that. Because people don't even understand that tretinoin versus pregnancy, like just the insights, the ins and outs of it. So you're using it every day, but then you can have a baby who gets malformations because you were on the tretinoin and not on family planning. But you see, if you buy your product from, without even first of all going to a professional, you will just be on the tretinoin, you're trying to get pregnant as well, and then things don't work how they're supposed to work.
But I think out of everything that I love pharmacies for, considering you can get antibiotics nowadays, crazy. But I feel like with things like Accutane, they are slightly more strict on it. And even a derma will make sure you go, first of all, get a pregnancy test. Because things can actually happen, especially now when it's oral versus topical. The oral one, things can go. Like,
that's true.
I think I read somewhere, I think was it in Nigeria?
It was Nigeria,
where someone did not even have a head or something of the sort. It can be detrimental to the fetus as well.
That's true. And also, I really celebrate my dawa for this. I remember the first time I was ordering retinol there. They were like, okay, obviously prescription. But they were also just like, do you want sunscreen to accompany it? I was like,
that's nice. Upselling with the right thing.
Exactly. Guys, thank you so much for coming to Tanzania this conversation. If there's
we can talk about skincare.
I know. If there's not if there's, please give your dose of health. It doesn't have to be related to skincare. Just give your dose of health for the day.
You start, I think.
Just sleep better.
Amen.
Let me tell you, I have struggled with sleep. I had to see a sleep therapist, a psychiatrist. She was asking me, how's your marriage? How are your friends? How is your work? How is your this and that? And then I went home, I'm like, Yani, this is like sickness. And I just made a mental note, let me sleep better, because I had actually started forgetting things. Like I'll be like, what did I do last year for my birthday so I don't do it again? But I could not remember. Then I go to my friend, what did we do? Like, no, you were not around, you celebrated this and this way. I'm like, that's the day I was just like, you know what, it's not a lie when they say, okay, maybe 8 hours, we might not have 8 hours, but I was literally operating on 3 to 4 hours of sleep.
You were saying?
So now that I sleep better, okay, maybe it's because of gym or so I'm just extremely exhausted, at least I'm able to manage like 6 to 7.
Okay, that's good.
The way I function now, I'm just like, guys, just sleep.
Amen.
Please, just sleep better.
Amen.
I think for me, it's take care of our health and intentionally. When someone buys a car, you'll keep up with oil change, taking it for service. But sometimes with our bodies, we're just like, ni kuamka na kwenda tu. So look after your body, eat well, as she said, sleep, move your body, but just be intentional about taking care of it, because it has to see you through this life. So,
Amen to that.
Please, let me just add. Please, anytime something is wrong with your body, like Yvonne is saying, take care of your body, we have different type of doctors who do different things. Sometimes someone comes to my DM, they're like, I'm experiencing this and this, what should I do? I'm like,
I'm not a doctor.
Girl, like, you should have seen a gyna in 2020. What do you mean? So there's so many doctors. They have I mean, for crying out loud, you guys go to school for like 8 years, or by the time you're done with your master's is 10. Make use of that knowledge.
Yeah.
So anything outside of the norm, just figure out, is it in my ear? So I go see an ENT. Is it, in my areas? I go see a gyna. There's a doctor for everything. So anything outside of what is normal, just
Including your mind.
including your mind.
And if you're not sure, just start from a GP, a general doctor, and then they'll direct you accordingly.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's just to reiterate that your skin is part of your body. I've been seeing this conversation on TikTok about skin lightening and skin brightening, which is a whole other topic for another day. And I saw a lady saying that, I started with this one's for kupaka because I don't want it to affect my internal organs.
What do you mean?
And I'm like, baby girl, your skin absorbs everything you're putting on it.
Yeah.
So at some point, if those products are not good for your body, they will reach your liver and affect your liver, affect your kidneys. So your skin is part of your body, very much part of your body. Whatever you put on it affects the rest of your body.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Do you want to plug yourselves before we go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Go ahead.
Oh my God. What do I even want to plug?
Okay, where do we find you? You can start there.
Oh yeah, Bandari Beauty and Luna Medispa. We are in the same mall, Greenhouse Mall, 2nd floor for Bandari Beauty and 3rd floor for Luna. And also you can find me on socials at Maureen Bandari across board, except X, where I'm not very active.
You can find me on socials, Yvonne Kanye. You can also find my businesses on socials, beautysquare.ke and Sage Skin, and skin is spelled SKNN. We have a location in CBD for Beauty Square and Lavington at Valley Arcade, and Sage is also located at Valley Arcade. But you can also get those details just from our social media handles.
We'll put them, don't worry, we'll put them down here and in the description. So thank you guys so much for coming. It's been a lovely conversation. And
I love signing out with subscribe because I'm living YouTube dreams through other people's podcasts. Is there a place where I'm subscribing?
Yes, please. Go on. The floor is yours.
It is a dose of?
A dose of health.
Okay. Wait, is it like on Spotify as well?
It's everywhere. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. There's one called AfriPods.
AfriPod is which one?
It's like Spotify for Africa, basically. They were trying to empower African podcasts.
Take off.
Yeah. It's for another day. Let's go on.
So it's a dose of?
A dose of health.
A dose of health. Hey guys, please subscribe to A Dose of Health everywhere, on every platform, on Spotify, on YouTube, and also watch these videos when they appear as reels on Instagram.
Yes. Yeah. And engage with us, interact, share your thoughts.
Yes, please.
If you have comments, put them there. If you have questions, I will address them too. People right here.
If you ask the question, we'll come and
Yes.
answer in the comments.
Yeah. We should do a Q&A episode.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just writing the notes. But anyway, guys, we can go on for long. So thank you so much for watching this episode. You can also find me, Dr. Hope Simiyu, here on Instagram, on TikTok. That's it. I'm also not on X like that. So guys, it's giveaway time. So I just have one question for you. And the first 2 people to answer this in the comments will win a nice car hamper, something exciting for them. So this is the question. Name 5 pharmacies where you can get real, authentic La Roche-Posay products in Kenya. That's the question.